Acts chapter 7, verse 2. To these brothers, sisters, the God of glory appeared to our father Abraham while it was still Mesopotamia. Leave the country and go to the land I will show you. All right. He gave him no inheritance here, not even enough ground to set his foot on. But God promised him that he and his descendants after him will possess the land, even though at that time Abraham had no child. God spoke to him in this way: for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated. Verse 7, but I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, God said, and afterwards they will come out of the country and worship me in this place. Then God gave Abraham the covenant of circumcision. This is really interesting. God called Abraham out of Chaldeans and go to the land God said he would show Abraham. Abraham no idea where he was going. Genesis 12. That's from Genesis 12. And God promised to give him lots of children, stars of the skies, the descendants, etc. By that time, Abraham no child. Abraham was almost 90 years old at that time. The most interesting thing that I want to pick out in this video, God said to him, for 400 years, your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated. So question is, why does God allow that? This is totally predestination. Did you see this, folks? If you don't believe in predestination, Calvinism, read again. God had predestined that Israel shall be enslaved for 400 years, and then he will perform a mighty exodus, take them out of Egypt through the powerful servant Moses. And then after that, God will give them the 10 Commandments, the Torah, the Mosaic laws. After they experience the Exodus, their hearts will be softened. They see the marvels, they'll be so awed by God's mighty power. But did you see who is the master planner of all these things? God. I do have a theory. It seems to me God often uses sufferings or hardship and persecution, etc., to manifest his glory, to really purify his people, to achieve his purpose. Every one of them, the big ones, the big purpose of God. Like, Israel went to Egypt for 400 years. God even decided, predetermined how many years they would be there. So guys, don't mess around with God, okay? God has an agenda strictly to his plan. He's immutable. He's immovable. He is the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow, and all time. And he is coming back. Jesus Christ is coming back to bring all his believers, his elect, those who love him and follow him, to heaven for eternity with a new body, though the deceased in Christ already in heaven in spirit, but not in body yet. That's another subject. But you see this, all this being predetermined. What is that telling you? God is absolutely in control. He's a sovereign God. You see why predestination is so powerful? I'm telling you, that shows God is so much in control, so sovereign. But God uses sufferings, hardship to manifest his glory, his love. People think like, oh, so he wants us to suffer so that he can get the glory. Well, that glory is in the context of a greater picture, his love. You may not see that in Exodus that much, okay? Because, the people of Israel suffered. And then they got the deliverance. God got the glory. And that they know that God is God. How do you think that these 3 million Jewish people will know that God is God? If it were not for Exodus, think about that. Exodus precisely is the instrument, is the means, is a way to bring out, to prepare a people, truly a royal priesthood, a royal nation, a royal priesthood chosen by God as royal priesthood to serve God, to minister to God, to glorify God, and to belong to God. That's completely fulfilled in Christ Jesus. Now, I was saying the suffering thing to show His glory. That's Moses and Israel. There's one. What else? Actually, Acts 7. My text today is about Stephen. Stephen, one of the disciples of Christ in the early church, he went out to preach the gospel powerfully, performed signs and wonders and miracles until the Pharisees were threatened by him and arrested him. And they pulled some false witnesses to charge him, false testimonies. It's a conspiracy. Like what's happening a lot in America today. A lot of false witnesses, a lot of corruption, a lot of bribery. So they falsely accused Stephen. So the high priest asked him, is this true? So Stephen began the whole story from the court of God and Abraham all the way down to Christ in one powerful sermon. I call it the sermon of the decade, of the century. It's a summary of what God has done, the redemptive act of God. It's really redemptive history. So through Egypt, God showed the redemptive historical power of God. Through Egypt's slavery, God showed His powerful redemptive work. Through Moses, God redeemed them. Okay, so there are many other occasions in the Old Testament: David, Samuel, Ruth, etc. Now it comes to the New Testament. The ultimate sufferings, God revealed His glory and His passion for us, is God Himself. You would have thought that God could have vetoed. I was reading Job, the book of Job, written by Derek Kidner. Great book. It's a signed book for me to read by my professor in the poets class. Kidner saying that God could have vetoed Satan when Satan challenged God to inflict Job, to prove that he really sincerely loved God and followed God and feared God, not only because of blessings. If God take away blessings from him, let's see if he continued to be faithful to God. So God could have vetoed that. God could have knocked Satan out at that point of time, but God did not. God brought Himself down to the level field combat, one-on-one with Satan. Say, Satan, this is what God told Satan, essentially. God said, Satan, take it on. Do whatever you want to inflict Job. Job will be faithful to me. Trust me. God is, but you can't touch his life. Okay, so God gave him the divine permission to do that. And because of Job's sufferings in the end, God won the battle. Not only Job won, but God won. Because God was proven He was right. There are people who love Him, not just because of blessing, not because of prosperity doctrine. Okay, guys, if you are in one of the prosperity doctrine church, listen again to Job's life. Will you continue to serve Jesus, walk with Him? If you don't get blessings, you get sick and whatever for a period of time. It was not permanent. It was a time of big trials and tribulations for Job at that time. Okay, so Jesus Himself went through such sufferings. And then God manifests His glory and His love for humanity to save all mankind. The only way God could do that is sufferings again. This is a theme. So my time is up here now. This is the first video for the day. So know that